In this screencast, we're going to kind of go around a corner and create a feature that is a little bit different from any of the features we've created so far. Something you might consider a little more basic, but it will be still very important in our application. If I open up our application here, you can see this is the main page where we can view all of our contacts. And then we can click a contact to go ahead and update that contact in some way. And then we just click back and we go back to the main list of contacts here. But wouldn't it be nice if we had a navigation bar up here so we can choose to go back to the main contacts or even have a link to our new contact form? So in this screencast, we are going to create our navigation. So this part starts here on our main.html page in our public directory. And what we're going to do is create another row right underneath our page header above the row that contains our view. So this is going to be a div with a class row. And then in here, we will have a div with a class of call-sm-12, just like we do below this one, except this one, instead of the ngView directive, is going to have the ngInclude directive. And ngInclude allows us to basically create a one-off view, if you will. Basically, we'll be able to create a template for our navigation, and this is how we just stick it into the page here. And this has to go in quotes because ngView does expect an expression, and this will be views/nav.html. So let's go ahead and create that. Public views nav.html. So we will create a nav element and we'll give it a class of navbar and navbar-default. And inside of this, we will have a div with a class of container-fluid. And then in here, we can have an unordered list, which has its own class of nav and navbar-nav. And that is all just for the sake of Twitter Bootstrap. So yes, Bootstrap makes it really easy to make reasonably pretty applications, but it certainly is heavy on the markup. So in here, we have list items, and these list items will have anchors going to, for example, the first one will be /contacts, and this will go to the, we'll say, all contacts page. And then the one below this can go to /contact/new, and this will go to the new contact page. Now these links are great, but we want to show which page we are on when we're on that page. So for example, when we're on the main page, we want all contacts to be highlighted in some way. And so to do this, we can add ng-class to our list item here. And we've looked at ng-class before. This allows us to add a class conditionally based on an expression. And the class we want to add is active. And we want to add it if, and we'll do capital PAGE, page, equals, in this case, if it equals all. And we'll do the very same thing down here if page equals new. Now, where are we getting this all uppercase page value? Well, we haven't created it yet. So let's go ahead and open up our public source controllers file. And in the list controller here, we need to set this page value and we need to set it to all. But we can't just do this, of course, because that's just internal. And we can't set it on the scope either, because remember, this controller will only be used in our view here. And our navigation is outside of our view and therefore doesn't have access to this controller. So what we need to do is add the root scope to our parameter list up here. Now, the root scope is kind of like the global scope in JavaScript. It's not a very smart idea to use too many global variables. In our application, we're just going to have this one global variable, which is page, and it will allow us to control our navigation. So instead of setting this on scope, I will set it on the root scope, and I'm going to have to do the same thing down here on new controller. We'll call for the root scope property, and I will set root scope .page equals new. And I'm going to have to do this on all the controllers, even the single controller here, because otherwise we're on the list controller, for example, and if we go to our single page, we need to change root scope so that it doesn't still say all when we move to this page. So I'll just change this to single here, even though there's no navigational element for a single page. So with that all in place, we've created our navigation, we've stuck it into the page here. That should be just fine. So now if we come back and refresh the page, you can see here's our navigation bar. As you can see, we're on the all contacts page, so that is highlighted. If I click on new contact, oh, it looks like that change didn't work. Let's go make sure we didn't make any typos. Oh, and the problem was we put page in all lowercase. So we need to make sure page is in all uppercase. So here I didn't even put page. Okay, so root scope dot page in all uppercase. And so now if I refresh the contact/new page, there you go. You can see now the navigation bar is highlighting new contact. If I go back to all contacts, that is selected. But if I view a single contact, you can see nothing is selected. So that's great. And now we can easily go to a single contact, edit their stuff, and then click all contacts to go right back to our all contact page. So that was a quick and easy way to add navigation to our application.